The 2018 Champions Cup was played on Sunday, August the 5th and would determine the league champion in the Atlanta Caribbean Soccer League. The match pitted first place Inferno FC against defending champions Yardaz FC in what would be a marquee matchup on a weekend of cup action. Inferno had already represented the league at the UPSL regional level when they qualified by being the first place team at the deadline day for qualification, an issue that will be solved with a scheduling change for the UPSL Spring 2019 season, which will start in the month of March. Inferno FC represented well, but eventually lost that first regional after a replay that ended 2-2 at full time before falling on penalties to Low Country United in a very entertaining UPSL regional playoff event. But after that loss, Inferno continued their fine form in the league to finish in first place and earn a place in the Champions Cup to place second place and defending champions Yardaz FC. A festive crowd was on hand to witness this match, and the action on the pitch would not disappoint. There was action in the first 2 minutes when Yardaz got quickly forward for a shot from almost at point-blank range that was batted away by the Inferno keeper. The pace was frenetic as both squads looked to get an advantage, but it was clear that Yardaz had the better chances as they kept the pressure on, here with a half chance again saved at the last moment by the Inferno keeper. There was a lot at stake for these two rivals who went so far last season for the title that Yardaz won. The tackles were hard and heavy, but the referee kept things under control for this cup encounter. The early Yardaz pressure paid off with a goal in the first 7 minutes as the brave Inferno resistance finally broke and Yardaz had a quick 1-0 lead. A replay shows that Yardaz forward forced his way through a crowd of Inferno defenders to slot home for the early lead. Inferno now needed to find a way to get their own pressure into the match. But before Inferno could get started, they lost 2 more goals in the next 10 minutes, and Yardaz threatened to run away with things as they shot to an early 3-0 lead moments later. This fact was driven home when midway through the half, a beautiful free kick was put in that made it 4-0 and a mountain for Inferno to overcome at that point, but putting smiles on the Yardaz players and supporters. A replay of the goal shows the quality of the ball that eluded the reach of both the hands of the Inferno keeper and the head of the defender on the far post. Inferno had to reset to get back into this match, and a chance to do that came after a foul at the top of the area presented Inferno with their first real chance of the game. The Inferno number 20 stepped up and scored a lovely free kick that gave some hope to the Inferno faithful as they looked to turn around a disastrous first half. A replay shows that the ball curled around the wall and past a stunned Yardaz keeper who didn't have a chance as it nestled into the back of the net. 4-1 and hope again for Inferno. But only moments later, Yardaz woke up from the setback and looked to continue their dominance in the match. The Inferno hoped to get back into the match would take another blow when midfield action presented an innocent enough looking ball that was then blasted from long range and fell in behind the keeper for possibly one of the most spectacular goals on this day of cup action. 5-1 and not even halftime yet. That score may have broken the spirit of Inferno, as a replay shows that the goal was created from basically nothing in the midfield, but would mean so much in what was to be a tight title competition. Passions typically run high at Atlanta Caribbean League matches, and today would be no different in this cup final, especially with so much at stake. A brief altercation flared up early in the second half and may be born out of Inferno's frustration at this point in the match. But order was soon restored and the match would continue, with Inferno looking for a way back into this match. With Yardaz now with their foot off the pedal a bit, Inferno found room to get forward and nearly found another goal, but for a mix-up between two Inferno attackers, sees the ball roll harmlessly off target. Inferno had no choice but to commit forward, and this left them vulnerable at the back when a failed Inferno attack turned into a Yardaz counter, and with Inferno resources far forward, Yardaz positioned their attack and put in a captain's goal for a 6-1 lead in the second half and almost all over for the competitive phase of the match. A replay shows that the goal was made to look easy, as confidence was high in the Yardaz squad as they felt both hands figuratively already on the trophy. But Inferno has a pedigree that does not allow them to give up a fight no matter the score, and they got something late in the second half when a Yardaz handball in the box gave them another chance at a score by way of a penalty. But the continued pressure would pay off with a third Inferno goal as Yardaz looked a bit wooden as Inferno took what was given to score the second goal in a row late in the match to bring the score to 6-3. Yardaz almost got a seventh when the shot eluded the Inferno keeper but was then taken off the line and cleared by the Inferno defense. But in that same vein of action, Yardaz brought the pressure back, and Inferno, desperate to exchange that pressure into their own attack, failed as the Yardaz captain scored another beautiful goal late in the match to put a nail in the Inferno coffin, with the score now at 7-3. A replay shows the brilliance of the shot when the square pass found the Yardaz captain unmarked in acres of space, but still made a difficult shot look easy as he dipped the ball just under the bar for another spectacular goal. And that would be the last real action of the game as the final whistle would blow and Yardaz successfully defends their title in emphatic fashion with a 7-3 Cup final win over rivals Inferno FC in the Atlanta Caribbean League's Champions Cup. All that was left were Yardaz celebrations.
Yardaz!